There is a version of human life that has been erased, not by war, not by catastrophe, but by a small glowing rectangle, and almost no one noticed it disappear. Before the internet, mornings were negotiated with silence. You woke up, and the world did not immediately speak to you. There was no flood of messages demanding your attention. Just the ambient noise of an unhurried existence. If you needed to know something, you had to physically go find it. The encyclopedia was not a joke. It was the Google of its time, except it never updated. And if the information was wrong, you simply believed it. Getting lost was a rite of passage. You could not pull out a device and summon your exact coordinates. You had to read the street signs, ask a stranger. Remember, memory was not optional. It was the operating system. Phone numbers were memorized, not stored. You knew your best friend's number, your grandmother's number, your dentist's number. Today, most people don't know their partner's phone number by heart. Boredom, before the internet, was not a crisis. It was the raw material of imagination. Children with nothing to do invented entire universes. Boredom was the incubator. Creativity was the output. Nobody photographed their food. They simply ate it. The meal existed only in the moment and in the memory of those who shared it. Speaking of sharing, to share something, you had to be physically present. You couldn't just forward a meme at midnight. You had to show up. Friendship required physical coordinates. You said, meet me at the corner of 5th and Main at 3 o'clock. And if one of you was late, the other simply waited. No text, no OMW. Just faith. Commitment was tested not by grand gestures, but by the small discipline of showing up. News was a morning ritual, not a constant hemorrhage. You absorbed the world in one concentrated sitting. Then you folded the paper, set it down, and went about your life. The news did not follow you. It stayed where you left it. Anxiety about the world had natural limits. Because information had natural limits. Entertainment required effort. You didn't scroll, you chose. You held the VHS tape in your hand, read the back, committed, and lived with that choice for 2 hours. There was no algorithm deciding what you wanted. You decided, fully, for yourself. Music was a deliberate ceremony. You didn't shuffle. You listened to the album. Track 1, track 2, in the order the artist intended. You understood the arc of an artist's thought because you were forced to follow it completely. Letters arrived, actual physical letters. And when they did, they carried a weight that no email ever could. Someone had sat down, chosen their words slowly, written them by hand, sealed them, stamped them, mailed them, then waited days for a response that may never come. That vulnerability was communication in its most honest form. Loneliness existed, but it was not amplified by comparison. You did not witness, in real time, every social event you weren't invited to. Exclusion existed in private, not as a curated performance. Your self-worth was not measured in metrics. No follower counts, no like tallies, no engagement ratios. Your value was determined by how you treated the people in your physical orbit, not by strangers you'd never meet. Work ended when you left the building. There was no inbox following you home. The commute was a genuine transition ritual. You sat with your thoughts between worlds. Home was a sanctuary because you could not bring the office into it. Children played outside until the street lights came on. That was the universal curfew understood by every child on earth. Not an alarm on a phone, not a scheduled reminder. Just light, and the wisdom to read it. Parents did not know where their children were every second. They trusted the neighborhood, the community, the implicit contract of shared space. Strangers watched out for each other's children, not because they were assigned to, because that was the architecture of life. When something important happened, you called someone, not texted, not posted, not shared as a story. You spoke, in real time, with your actual voice, and you heard the breathing of another human being, the texture of their silence, the weight of their pause. That information, emotional, raw, unfiltered, is now almost extinct. We replaced it with a typed lol and called it connection. The library was a cathedral, not metaphorically, structurally, architecturally, culturally sacred. You entered with a question. You left, sometimes hours later, with 17 more questions and a better mind. Research was a physical sport. You cross-referenced. You index-searched. You followed footnotes down rabbit holes. And when you finally found the answer, you remembered it. Because you had earned it. Directions were memorized landmarks, not GPS coordinates. People navigated by the logic of the physical world. The landscape itself was their interface. Saturday mornings were sacred. Not because Saturday was different, but because cartoons only existed on Saturday morning. Scarcity was the engine of anticipation. When something only happened once, you were fully present for it. The season finale of a show was a civic event. You watched it together. You discussed it the next day, in person. The conversation was part of the experience. Expertise was difficult to fake. You couldn't simply look something up mid-conversation and pretend you knew it all along. Either you knew it or you admitted you didn't. Intellectual humility was the default, not the exception. Arguments could not be settled instantly. Two people could disagree for days, weeks, years, before encountering the evidence that resolved it. The uncertainty itself had value. It kept conversations alive. It kept curiosity sharp. People were not reachable at all times, and that inaccessibility was respected. "She must be out" was a complete and satisfying sentence. Privacy was a default state, not a setting you had to manually configure. Your personal life was yours until you chose otherwise. Photographs were finite. A roll of film held 24 frames, 24 chances to capture something true. So every shutter click was a considered act, and the photographs that resulted were almost always worth looking at, because they had cost something, not money, intention. The world before the internet was not simpler. It was differently complex. People still suffered, still struggled, still made catastrophic mistakes. But they did so at human speed, human scale. What they had that we have misplaced was the experience of being fully in one place at a time, not half present at a dinner table while a device pulled them elsewhere, not scrolling through memories while making new ones, just here. That is the thing we gave away without realizing it had a name: presence. And somewhere in the architecture of who we are becoming, we can still feel its absence.